Each year there are thousands of calls for search and rescue in the state of Oregon alone. Oregon actually has the third highest of missing persons reported in the entire United States. Of those search and rescue calls, 90% are found alive and well, 8% are found deceased, and 2% are never found at all. All the stories you are about to hear are true, but they're simply more detailed than I can give in a 6 or 7 minute YouTube video, so feel free to look up further information on your own at the conclusion of the video. Before we get going, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button and lightly knock the dust off the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more Oregon stories and adventures. 48-year-old Roy Stevens was a husband and father of 3 who lived along Highway 58 near Odell Lake. He worked as a chef at the Odell Lake Lodge. On the evening of November 16, 2005, Roy picked up his paycheck, called his wife Marilyn, and asked if she wanted to go to a tavern in Crescent City, 18 miles away, to see some friends and have dinner. She had just recently had bypass surgery, so she opted not to, but said he should go instead. At 11 p.m., Roy called Marilyn and said that he was on his way home and that he loved her, but that would be the last time they spoke. When he didn't show up back up the next day, Marilyn and her oldest son went and searched for him. They searched around Crescent, they searched around Odell Lake Lodge, and there was really just no sign of him. They talked to some friends who said he did in fact leave the bar at about 11 p.m. that night, but he was going to stop at another friend's house on his way home. It's generally unknown who this friend was that he was planning to stop and see. 2 days would go by, still no sign of Roy, and on November 18, Marilyn called the police and filed a missing person report. The Klamath County Sheriff's Department did do a cursory search, but didn't put a whole lot of effort into it. A week later, on November 24, 2 hikers heading up the Waldo Lake access road spotted a car on the side of the road they thought looked kind of suspicious, and it was abandoned. So they called the police and let them know. Linn County Sheriff came out, found the car, and positively identified the car as belonging to Roy. Sitting on the passenger seat of the car was Roy's wallet and Roy's paycheck. 3 agencies then got involved in the search. You had Klamath County Sheriff, you had Linn County Sheriff, and you also had Willamette National Forest Search and Rescue. However, bad weather was moving in, Roy had been gone almost a week, and the search was called off after less than 24 hours. The Willamette National Forest, specifically the Waldo Lake area, is kind of a dangerous place in wintertime. The snow starts falling sometime in early October, temperatures drop well below freezing, and the snow really doesn't stop until well into April, and sometimes as far out as June. If Roy had been out there for almost a week, his chances of survival were absolutely slim. A thorough search and recovery efforts probably wouldn't even begin to start until late April or early May. But this search was never actually done. So what happened to Roy? What prompted him to go 20 miles in the wrong direction, abandon his car on the Waldo Lake access road, and leave his wallet and paycheck sitting on the passenger seat? Over the years, there's been some speculation of foul play because authorities just don't know who this friend was that he was going to go see. But why would his attacker or attackers leave his wallet and paycheck sitting on the passenger seat of the car? And there was really no sign of struggle inside the car. There has been some suggestion that he was drunk when he left the tavern, even though the friend he was with says he was not drunk. Some say he actually just drove his car out, parked his lake in the Waldo Lake access road, got out and drunkenly wandered off in the woods. He would have had to drive 20 miles out of his way. So, Crescent was 18 miles from where he lived. He would have had to drive those 18 miles past Crescent, an additional 20 miles to the Waldo Lake access road, park his car, and drunkenly wander off in the woods. If you've ever spent time in the Waldo Lake area, you know that that area is the terrain is rough. It's not easy terrain to get around in. Add the fact that it's dark, and it's wintertime, and it doesn't really work out. Like, he would have been found really close to the road. The hikers who found his car said there was a pile of vomit next to the car when they found it. However, in the week prior to them finding the car, so 7 days between when he went missing to the location of his car, it had been snowing. If he had vomited the night he went disappearing, that vomit would be covered up by snow, so that vomit would have had to show up in the 24 hours before the hikers found his car. 17 years have passed, and it's unlikely we will ever know what happened to Roy. If anybody does have any information about Roy, please contact the County Sheriff's Department at the link listed below. Michael Bryson was described as being 6 feet tall and approximately 180 pounds. In the years after high school, Michael had gotten in with a bad crowd and developed a little bit of a drug problem. In 2019, Michael knew he had to leave that life behind him and decided he wanted to become an electrician. But then in 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic happened, he was laid off from his job as a bartender, and any schooling he might want to attend was put on hold. On August 4, 2020, Michael stopped by his parents' house in Harrisburg, Oregon, and told them that he was going to be attending a week-long party at a place called Hobo Camp, which is in the Umpqua National Forest. That would be the last time they spoke to him. In the early morning hours of August 5th, partygoers noticed Michael wandering off of camp. He had left all of his camping gear behind and had powered off his cell phone. At the party, there were approximately 50 to 60 people. But nobody really noticed Michael wasn't among the mass crowd of people, and nobody really searched for him until later on in the day. Michael's parents weren't notified that he was missing until the following day around 5:00 p.m., so about 36 hours after Michael had gone missing. Lane County Sheriff's Department were notified and a search and rescue operation was underway. When Michael's parents arrived at the camp, they noticed that people were still partying. Michael's mother would later say in an interview that they were just sitting around, eating, drinking, smoking, laughing, and nobody was looking for him. Partygoers, when questioned, had conflicting stories. Some say he wandered off to a nearby creek. Others say he was seen picked up in a car along the highway, which were two opposite directions. When the search operations were underway, hundreds of people showed up to search by foot, on horseback, and by the use of aerial drone. The Lane County Search and Rescue logged over 700 hours of searching in 19 days. But after 19 days, the search was called off. On December 11, 2020, some articles of clothing believed to be the last thing Michael was wearing was found about a mile away from Hobo Camp. Search and rescue operations resumed and continued to search for a few more days with nothing really new to offer. Michael's parents believe that somebody planted the clothes there because that area was very thoroughly searched for the 19 days after Michael had gone missing, and they were not found during that time, and when they were found, they were sitting in plain view. Lane County Sheriff's Department have said the investigation is ongoing, but without any further leads, it's very unlikely we will know whatever happened to Michael Bryson. If you do have any information on Michael Bryson, please contact the Lane County Sheriff's Department in the link listed below. Chinese immigrant Daming Zhu arrived in Oregon in the late 1980s and became a professor of mathematics at the Oregon State University in Corvallis. Daming and his wife Zhu loved Oregon. They often went on day hikes to explore Oregon's vast wilderness areas. November 4, 2007 was a very beautiful blue sky Oregon autumn day, and Daming Zhu headed out to Olali Mountain. Olali Mountain is about a 2.5-hour drive away from Corvallis. The trail is 7.5 miles long and is listed as being very difficult with very steep terrain. It takes about 4 or 5 hours to complete the whole trip. Now, Daming was considered to be very physical fit, especially considering he was 63 years old on the day of his disappearance. When Daming failed to return home, his wife contacted authorities and a search and rescue operation was underway in the vicinity of Olali Mountain. Paul and Stephanie Needlemeyer, two hikers who were on the Olali Mountain the same day as Daming, said they saw him at the top of the mountain, but he looked like he was in a rush. He was very hurried. He was only up there for a couple of minutes before hurriedly running down the mountain. When Paul and Stephanie reached the bottom of the mountain into the parking lot, they noticed there was only one other car there, and they were actually surprised, thinking it was probably Daming's car, but he should have been back by now. They didn't pass him on the way down, but they thought maybe he had gone off to Olali Meadows or had taken the French Peak Trail. 2 days later, on November 6, Daming's car was found near Terwilliger Hot Springs. Inside Daming's car was half of Sullivan's trail guide, his cell phone, some extra water, and warmer clothing. More than 60 search and rescue team members were deployed to the area. Team members from Eugene, Portland, Corvallis, Lincoln County, Lynn County, and Deschutes County, as well as Deschutes County Sheriff's officials and Eugene City Police participated in the search. The Oregon Air National Guard even deployed a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter with infrared sighting capabilities to assist in the search. However, in the days following Daming Zhu's disappearance, the weather turned and the search had to be called off. On November 16th, the other half of Daming Sullivan Trail Guide had been found near the French Peak drainage. That was the last anybody had ever seen of Daming Zhu. The following summer, more than 400 volunteers would go back out and look for Daming's remains, but nothing was ever found. If you do have any information on Daming Zhu, please contact the Deschutes County Sheriff's Department. Okay, that was 3 strange wilderness disappearances in Oregon. If you do have any information, please do contact authorities. Let them know so that the remains of these people can be found and bring closure to their families. If you do like this content and you want to see more of this content, please knock the dust off that subscribe button and hit the thumbs up and the bell notification so you don't miss out on more content just like this.